England Ford dealers and Ford Trucks, America's best-selling trucks for 49 years.
Brown draws the contact, count the basket and one, and then he screams to the crowd. 31 points for Jaylen Brown in 21 minutes.
And he finished this night with 43 points. Jason Tatum also with a 25-point triple-double, 18 rebounds, 11 assists. So Tatum and Brown getting it done as the Celtics take care of the Miami Heat in this one, 147-129. Tom Giles, Chris Forsberg here on Celtics Post-Game Live. It was a game which saw the Celtics score 53 in the first quarter, Chris. They had a commanding lead at halftime. Miami, to their credit, did not go away. They surged in the third quarter, got it down to single digits, but the Celtics making enough plays down the stretch.
Miami plays the weirdest games, from the Bam 83 to like their ability to get hot and knock down threes and the flashing red light every time they make a three. It's a crazy environment, and yet credit to the Celtics who, you know, I think it's only natural you take your foot off the gas a little bit when you're as dominant as you were in that first quarter, but kind of stuck with it. JB just relentless with his attack in the basket and scoring. Jason Tatum having double-digit rebounds at the half and turning that into a triple-double and just making every right play. Sam Hauser with one of his best games in what feels like a little bit of a while. So all the stuff that's sort of building towards what you need when the postseason arrives against a playoff potential opponent or someone, a team like this that you will see. So I like a lot of what we saw. They got to figure out how to keep the foot on the accelerator. Should have never got as close as it did down the 10 going into that fourth quarter, and yet made all the plays to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, early in the fourth, Miami got it to within 9. It was 114-105. Then Sam Hauser hit a couple of long twos. He had a big night. Jason Tatum, right after that, hit a 2 and a 3 to extend the lead. So the Celtics kind of went up by 16, and that's where it basically lived the rest of the way. They haven't won many games this way. I mean, this was the second most points they've scored in a game this season. They had 148 against Brooklyn, but that game was not competitive whatsoever. Even though the Celtics scored 147 points, Miami shot the ball really well. So this was kind of off-brand from what we've seen the Celtics this year.
I do think when teams play the Celtics, it's only natural to sort of counteract the math. They're going to fire away from the three-point range. And you know, Celtics were so good from beyond the arc, 11 of 15 in the first quarter. You just feel like they're just going to run away with this thing. They probably should have, but you know, when Miami gets hot and did they end up scoring more three-pointers overall? 20, when we get the final box, we'll take a look. But yeah,
they did. They had Miami had 24 threes. Celtics had 21.
At one point, I'm like, are they going to set the NBA record based on what they were doing out there? We all know what the Celtics back opening night 2 years ago, getting up to 29 and then getting stalled a little bit. So again, it's good that they met some resistance, that they had to kind of push back. I love the way that in moments where it could have really unwound, they found a way to dig in, and that was mostly Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown making the right play.
Okay, well, let's start with Jaylen Brown. And the start of his night was 11 straight points for the Celtics as he just got off to a phenomenal start. You know, he talked about his game the other night in which he almost had his own triple-double with 29 points and said, you know, basically said it was not his best game. And he comes out tonight with the 43 points, 4 of 10 from 3. And again, he got them off to a great start. Miami actually had a lead in that first quarter, I think by 4 points, you know, midway through. And then the Celtics went on that crazy 24-3 run to end things. But what did you like the most about Jaylen tonight?
Just trying to, I don't even want to say atone, because he just took on the fact that the Celtics did not have a very good game the other night in Atlanta. I just thought he was relentless early. I think they could tell he was activated, but some of those drives, I mean, he was just going into Pell Larson's body, finishing strong, muscling home. When he saw Tyler Hero in front of him, he was not bashful. I love the way that JB, again, came out and set the tone for the night, that after a disappointing effort against Atlanta, it wasn't going to be that way. And, I mean, 43 points. Pretty amazing. Yeah,
and that's the same number of field goals
he took. 29 shots.
Exactly, it's the same number of shots he took the other night against the Hawks. Just made 17 of them, and also got to the free throw line. Was 5 of 7 from the free throw line. But it's a very efficient night for Jaylen Brown.
And 7th game with 40+. I mean,
that's crazy.
Just another reminder of how relentless he's been this season.
Meanwhile, you know, we brought it up pregame. Could this be one of those 30-30 nights for Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown? Jason Tatum falling short of that with the 25 points, but kind of making up for it just a little bit with the 18 rebounds and 11 assists. continues to look more and more aggressive, Chris. It seems every time he's on the floor, and again, he's continues to make strides. This game's on national TV, so you're hearing Doris Burke and Dave Pasch talk about it, and just the way that he's grown. And he doesn't look like a guy that is coming back from an Achilles injury.
I wonder when it won't be so marvel. Like we sit here and marvel at the fact that what he's doing and making it look so easy, especially after all the over speculation about his shooting inefficiency a week ago. I think he let it come to him tonight. I like what he did inside the arc. So if we do the math, 5 of 8 inside the arc when he did attack the basket. The rebounding is the thing that will just jump off the page. 12 rebounds at halftime, 18 to finish. The Celtics had already shored up a lot of what ailed them in terms of defensive rebounding since the start of the season, but you add Tatum to the mix, and it's such a luxury. You can go small and play him at the 5. You can put him out there with Nimi and really dominate the glass. His ability to hold them to one shot prevented them from really being frisky in this game and maybe making even more of a charge. The three-pointer was working at various stages. He seemed pretty confident with the pull-up. Every game, he just looks a little bit more. There's longer stretches, the minutes that he's able to navigate. We're seeing Jason Tatum get close to the guy that they're going to need if they're going to make a run in the postseason.
And again, I thought that he had 2 huge buckets in that fourth quarter. When Miami had made kind of that little run there.
And Sam really settled you down when Miami kind of threw one last haymaker at you.
And he got to the free throw line, then knocked down a 3, which gave the Celtics a 121-105 lead. Taking a look at the graphic here, there you go, Jason Tatum, 25 points on 9 of 21, 18 rebounds, 11 assists.
I need to know the guy who had a triple-double coming back from an Achilles injury the quickest. Where's Dick Lipe at?
Okay, well, we'll work on that.
No days off.
Yeah, I'm not sure we can get that for you in the next 30 seconds, but
okay.
We'll look into it. But again, just Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown playing at this level against a team in Miami who's trying to find their way as far up in the play-in tournament as they can.
Exactly. That's the hardest part about the Celtics schedule necessarily isn't, there's obviously been a downturn in strength of schedule, but it's still all these teams that have something to play for. When you consider that, I think it's the number 7 out of their final 10 are against teams that are in the seeding mix. One game against New York, but everybody else in that 5 to 10 bracket. Look, either you're setting a tone against a team you might see in the playoffs, navigate the order. All these teams are fighting to try to get to 5-6, or at least improve their standing in the lower the play-in. So, again, if this is a team you're going to see in the postseason, they got to think, man, they put 147 on us. You're at least leaving them in a 4-0 run this season with Miami something to think about.
You want that triple-double stat now? I'm just hearing from Mark Hazlett.
What is it?
Kevin Durant had one with the Nets, his first season with the Nets.
He took like 2 years off.
It was in the playoffs against the Bucks. So it was certainly well past what we saw tonight. All right, so Sam Hauser, by the way, coming right out of the gate, he was 5 of 5 from 3 and had 23 points in this one, including, as we mentioned, 4 big ones early in the fourth quarter. He's standing by with Abby Chin back in Miami.
Sam, congratulations. I want to start at the beginning because when this game started, you could not miss. At what point did you know you had it, and what was different about tonight?
The first couple go in, the rim looks a little bit bigger, and shout out to my teammates for finding me when I was open and getting it to me on time and on target, and just letting it fly out there.
You weren't alone. JB was a force all night. JT finished with a triple-double, his first since coming back. Did it feel like old times out there?
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously our shot making was pretty high level in the night. So was the Heat. So fun game to be out there, and good to see a lot of guys play well.
Yeah, they still cut it to 10 going into the fourth. What did you guys say to each other inside that huddle, and how were you able to maintain the poise and close this out?
We just had to protect the three-point line a little bit better. They got hot there at the end of the third, and that's kind of what got them back into the game. So once we cleaned that up, started rebounding a little bit better, I think we got the lead back out to where we needed it.
You guys go 4-0 against the Heat this season. In this rivalry, that's got to be pretty nice.
Every time we come here, it feels like a playoff game. So anytime you can win here is pretty cool. And you never know, we might be playing them in a couple weeks. So it's good to get these wins under our belt, but we've got a lot more to get better at and get ready for it.
Sam, thank you. Congrats.
Thanks.
All right, again, so Sam Hauser with a big night. And, Chris, you mentioned at halftime when we were talking about it that He's back in the starting lineup. Maybe didn't like the fact that he wasn't in there against Atlanta. You joked, but no, he was good right from the start, right from the jump.
Yeah, like I don't think he actually would think that. But you know what? Players find motivation in smaller things, and so if even if you're just sitting there going, I need to remind everybody why I'm a starter at this level. What I love best is that he really lit his fuse by the little, like they were to attack the closeout, hit a little mid-range from the baseline. And all of a sudden he's activated, and then the threes are falling, and you get to the fourth quarter, and you need to kind of stave it off, and there he is, stepping in again. He's